I don't even know where to begin. I genuinely do not even know where to begin. Jessica, you went MIA again. Yes, I know I did. I was so excited to leave 2020 behind that I physically went out of 2020 with a bang. That resulted in 5 stitches and about 8 or 9 chipped teeth. So yeah, I think we need the wine for this video. So please pour yourself a big fat glass of whatever drink, alcoholic beverage of your choice. And let's dive right on into this video. Hello my beautiful friends and welcome back. So what a year it has been, my darlings. I am genuinely so sorry. I did not mean to neglect you guys again. It was completely out of my control. I was back in a little swing of things and then I had one last bang just before we left 2020. You know, just as a reminder, just so I have a scar on my body for the rest of my life, so I will never forget 2020, as if I was going to forget it anyways. The universe was just making sure of it, you know, just making sure. If you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen that I had this big, huge plaster on my face for the last, 3 weeks. And you knew that I had a fall or that I'd hurt myself, but you didn't know what had actually happened. I had a lot of questions about it, so I thought I would just quickly touch on it in this video before I get on into what I learned in 2020. Because, you know, I feel like we've all been constantly hearing how bad of a year 2020 was, but at the end of the day, there were so many lessons that also came out of 2020, and I feel like they're lessons that we will carry with us throughout the rest of our lives. So let's try to turn 2020, which, yeah, undeniably, there is no doubt that it was an awful year. I personally feel like if it wasn't for this season in our lives, we wouldn't have been forced to face the reflection of ourselves in the mirror and really face up to some hard truths. I feel like we all faced some really hard truths this year. I feel like 2020 was a year of realizations and a year of growth, growing within ourselves, outgrowing things and people and places. And I personally feel like, well, for me anyways, I can feel it, the energy from the universe, the energy the universe is sending me for 2021 is healing. Healing. I can just feel it. It's just radiating through me and I'm so here for it. The story I'm about to tell you guys, 2 things. First one is that all of my friends told me it is the most Jessica Brennan thing you could do. It is just such a me thing. It's just such a me thing. It's the most stupidest way you could end up in hospital with 5 stitches and 8 chipped teeth. Really. And the second thing is, I give you permission to laugh, because also every one of my friends laughed when they heard this story, because they knew it was okay, obviously. But it's just so stupid. How does this even happen? I don't know. Okay, so we're gonna go back to the beginning. So, it's been an awful year, been in lockdown for so long. Yada. The tiers in Ireland changed just before Christmas, so restaurants and stuff were open. So me and 2 friends, before I get into the story, I was not breaking lockdown rules. I don't want any comments down below coming from me about lockdown or this or that. Look, I feel like something I've seen way too much of online this year is people just tearing each other apart. Just worry about yourself and what you're doing, and let everyone else worry about themselves and what they're doing. Because look, it's been a really difficult year for us all. We're just trying to survive. We're just trying to get through it. So yeah, I wasn't breaking lockdown rules. We were in a tier in Ireland where going out for food and stuff was okay. So anyways, I went out with 2 friends and we just went out for a meal and a couple of drinks. I hadn't been out in months, okay? Lots of things had happened. A breakup, moving back home, other family things that we're not going to touch on, and loads of things that happened, okay? So I just needed to let my hair down. I just needed to go out, a little taste of normality, whatever the fuck that is. A meal, a couple of drinks, a laugh with a couple of friends, that's all I wanted. Great night, so good. It couldn't have been better. I was so happy, it was just what I needed, that little bit of, release, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, I'm gonna need a sip of wine before we get on to the next bit of the story. So let's roll it on, and Jessie is quite tipsy. And one of my friends basically squats down and was like, Jessica, come on, for a piggyback, a piggyback ride. So for me to jump up on her back. So I'm a little bit down from her and she's like, come on. So I'm like, okay. And I start running. I run, I'm making a run for it. I'm putting power power behind this jump, this run and jump, right? I'm really going for it. Like, nothing is stopping me from getting on her back. And I mean nothing. So I'm running for her and I go to jump up on her. So I like, you know, put my hands on her shoulders and she like ducks down a little bit lower. So instead of getting on her back, I like leaped over her. So I like used her shoulders as like a leap. Like, imagine I'm a frog trying to leap over something. That is me, like leaping through the air. So like my whole body is midair. I'm in the air. I'm going and I go over her. I go well over her. I'm gone. I am gone. Out with the sight, out with the picture altogether. Over her, face first into concrete tiles. Face first, from being up in the air, midair. Not one limb, not one piece of my body, my skin was touching anything. I was just floating in the air. I felt like a superwoman. I felt like Superwoman for them 2 seconds until I realised I was, woo. So I hit the ground face first. So basically my chin was the first thing to hit the ground. When I fell and hit the ground, it felt like I had broken every tooth in my mouth. Like, it had felt like the crack and the crunch I heard. Like, it genuinely felt like all of my teeth had just fallen out of my mouth. It didn't even feel like I hurt my chin. It was just all in my mouth. And I like stayed down for like maybe 5 minutes or something. Like, I was so lightheaded. And then when I lifted my head up, I was just like squirting blood. Like, squirting blood. And I thought it was coming from my mouth. Until my friend alarms me that there was a hole. A fucking hole in my chin. My chin. Which I later find out in hospital, it was a 3 or 4 centimetre hole. I can't remember what he said. Imagine that, like, in your face. That is a big chunk of your face missing. A 3 or 4 centimetre hole. Honey, I'm never going to get that back. I've been searching for that piece of chin. She's nowhere to be seen. And then obviously I started like freaking out when this happened. One of my friends was like, it's fine. Like, you'll just need like a little bit of tape to put over it. You'll be okay until tomorrow morning. And yeah, I obviously ended up calling my dad, and then we went up to the hospital, and thank God I didn't leave it till the next morning because I had to get a tetanus injection and also then get 5 stitches on my chin. I don't know if you're going to be able to see what it's looking like now. It's still very red, but it's healing so well. Like, I'm so delighted with how it's feeling. How are you feeling, Mr. Chin? Mr. Chin! I know I'm laughing about it now, but I cannot tell you how traumatising the night was to me. It was just so bad because as I said, like, I was kind of going out, like, I was really looking forward to just this night, and it was just something I really needed. And like, you know, when the night is going really well and you're like, oh, I'm so happy, and then it's like, you thought so, you spoke too fucking soon. And yeah, I was just still like trying to kind of come to terms with a lot of things in my head and stuff. And I remember just being in the car on the way to hospital, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I actually cannot with this year anymore. Like, I wasn't even crying. Like, I was just like so, like, I was in such shock. Like, I was just like, how is there another thing now? Like, how? And also because if you've been following me for a while, you'll know, like, one of my biggest fears is needles. Like, I can't do needles. I just cannot do them. I have such a fear. I'm so afraid of them. And I had to get a tetanus injection, which was actually fine, but what I really struggled with was before they had to like stitch up my chin, they had to inject me. How many times was it? 4 times they injected me in my chin. Oh my goodness. I have a new found level of respect, is that even a sentence? I don't know, for people who get filler, get Botox. How do you do it? How? I can only imagine. Like, it's an injection in your face. Surely it can't be much different. Like, same thing. The pain of them injections in my chin was like nothing I've ever experienced before. Getting the stitches in, fine. Getting the injections in, I literally thought I was going to faint and just go off into another planet. I was just lying there, and like, bear in mind, they're like, no, do not move, because if you move, you're going to make it so much worse. So I'm there like, it's on your face as well. So like, you know, there's certain areas, like if you're getting an injection in your arm or something, it's a little bit easier, but your face, your fucking face. So I was just lying there and he was like, don't move. He's got a sheet on my face and I'm just here like, oh my god, like I actually can't. I am done. I am fucking done. So in case you're wondering why I look like a mole rat today, it's because I still can't wear makeup with my chin because I have to wait a certain number of weeks after getting the stitches out before I can put anything over it. But yeah, so the world doesn't even want me to have fun, I've learned. The one day of the year I just needed a laugh and I just needed to giggle and I just needed to forget about my problems. The world was like, no. So I've just realised that most of this video was meant to be me talking about what I learned in 2020 and I've already been filming for half an hour and all I've been talking about is my bloody chin. So I think we're going to move on or else you're going to have like a 2-hour video and I'm also already feeling the wine. So this could get interesting. Oh, that was a nice one. Okay, so I think we're going to dive right on into the things that I learnt in 2020. I can tell. Oh my god, is this happened to anyone else? Do you know when you're like getting tipsy, your voice actually changes? Like it actually does. Like, I can tell. I feel like the first thing I learned in 2020 is that I'm a much stronger bitch than I gave myself credit for, and I feel like this can go for nearly all of us. At certain points this year, it was too much. Too much. The hopelessness was too much. The future was too dark. The fear was too daunting. The heartbreak. Don't even get me started on the fucking heartbreak. It was too blinding, too sharp. All of it was just way too fucking much. All I wanted to do was quit. All I wanted to do was throw in the towel. All I wanted to do was give up. All I wanted to do was say thank you, but no thank you. I'm done. Fuck this. I'm out. I'm done. I cannot do it anymore. But I decided not to. I reached out. I asked for help. And when I couldn't do it alone, I leaned on others. And I picked myself up every day, every morning, every night. And we tried again. We tried again and we tried again. And I'm still fucking here. And I'm still fucking here. And so much can be said for that. And I just feel like, you know, this is such an important point. I feel like what this year has really taught me, and I'm just going to put in a little trigger warning here for suicide. If that triggers you, please click off this video. You do not need to watch it. I will be uploading again very soon. But I feel like this year has really taught me, like, I've suffered with depression and my mental health and anxiety for years and years. And I've had suicide attempts, and that's something I've never spoke about online, and maybe one day I'll dive deeper into the subject. But I feel like this year's really taught me that, you know, we don't give ourselves the fucking credit we deserve for getting through each day when you're fucking depressed as fuck, when you cannot see a future, when everything ahead of you is black, when everything ahead of you is dark, when you see no way out, when you can't see the light, when there's no hope. I don't feel like people get the, like, you don't give yourself and people don't get the credit they deserve how hard it is to carry on and pick yourself up out of them places, especially when you have people around you who have no understanding of mental health, who have absolutely no understanding of it whatsoever, and they see it as just, you're crazy, you're fucking crazy, you're a psycho. It's even harder. I don't know, I feel like I just learned life is hard, and it's always going to be hard. It's always going to be hard, but it's how you handle it. It's how you react to it. It's how you deal with it. And you can handle it, and you can react to it well, and you can deal with it. You can deal with it so much more than you even realise you can fucking deal with it. You are such a strong fucking bitch, and that's what I fucking learned this year. You can fucking do it. You can pick yourself up. You can fucking dust yourself back off. You have everything you need inside of you to get through this, and you will get through it, and you're getting through it, and you're getting out the other fucking side, my fucking darling. I feel like the second thing I learned in 2020 is to grasp on to goodness and find happiness in the simple things. I'm healing, I'm still healing, and I still get waves of sadness that do threaten to break me, but what I have learned is between the waves, I try my best to celebrate every positive moment and every small win. And I feel like that's something that for us all this year has really shown us and brought to light, is that when you peel everything back, what it really boils down to is the little things. It's the little things in our day. It's the little moments. It's the little things. It really does, because tomorrow's not guaranteed. It's never guaranteed. We're not promised tomorrow, but what we are promised is this moment that we have right now. And I feel like I've learned to really appreciate that moment and be grateful for it, and, you know, recognize the small things and the achievements. Like, Jessica, look, you've accomplished this. You're having a laugh with a loved one. You know, you're eating a meal that you absolutely love and you're enjoying it so much. You know, you're this, you're that. Like, just trying to see these things and spot them and just appreciate the moment, because really that's all we have. And when you kind of put that into perspective and you're like, tomorrow's not guaranteed, so I'm stressing about all these things tomorrow and like what my future could be like. But like, I know it could, like, you can listen to this and take it as a really depressing thing, but I feel like, you know, if you kind of flip it and look at it as like a good thing and a positive, is that, but we're not guaranteed a future. And really that's kind of like a relief, because it's like, all I've got to worry about is this moment. I don't have to worry about then, but like 2 years time or 2 days time or 2 months, because I'm not promised that, but I am promised this moment. So, like, what can I do? Like, what is so beautiful in this moment? What am I lucky for in this moment? What am I grateful for in this moment? You know, like the other morning I woke up and it was like 6 o'clock and I couldn't sleep and I was awake all night and I was tossing and turning and whatever, and I just opened my blind for whatever reason to open the window, and it was so beautiful. Like, there was like all these colours in the sky and the stars, and there was still a little bit of the moon out, and I just lay there and I was like, wow. I was like, this is so beautiful. Like, I'm so grateful to be alive. Like, I just feel so grateful that I even get the chance to experience this in this moment and like be alive. Do you know what I mean? The third thing I learned in 2020 is that the people you surround yourself with say a lot about you. And there's this quote that goes, and I don't know if you've ever heard it, but it's that you are a combination of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Choose wisely. And I feel like 2020 really brought this to light for me, and it's something that kind of, it really like showed me how true this is, to the point that I'm still like a bit mind blown by it, and I'm still trying to like work it all out, and I'm still just like, what? You don't actually realize the influence people have on you. They have such an influence on you, and I feel like this year also kind of highlighted the fact that difficult times really reveals the truth, and especially reveals the truth about people and people's intentions. Like, we don't seem to realize, which is something I've really realized now, is that, like, you know, as they say, like, the people you surround yourself with says a lot about you, but also like them 5 people, like their beliefs, their values, their morals, like they're gonna rub off on you, because, you know, you're spending so much time with them, you're talking to them, you're speaking to them so much, so their thought processes, their thought patterns, their kind of opinions and all this stuff will kind of subconsciously get into your head, and this is what happens. And I feel like this is where the truth falls with this quote, and kind of shows us like the meaning of it. And I feel like from a couple of people being removed from my life in the last number of months, it's really brought this to light for me, and you know, it's all well and good, like I know it's such a cliche quote, but it's like, if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my fucking best. Like, you just don't. And I feel like the difficult times really reveals the truth, because, you know, it's so easy for us to be in someone's life and for us to love someone, for us to care for someone, for us to prioritize someone when they're doing well and they're doing great and all that shit. But when shit hits the fan and all comes crashing down, and that's not the case, like, it really does show who's there, who's got your back, who's not, who's got good intentions, who's not got good intentions, who's only out for themselves. Because I'm sorry to tell you if you weren't aware, but most people are only fucking out for themselves, and 2020 really highlighted that for me as well. And people, especially you thought, who had your best interest at heart and who weren't just out for themselves, like people who you thought were out for you as well, shows they're actually not, you know. And that's not something to be sad about, like that, it's just not. It's actually a good thing. Like, I'm looking at it as a positive. Like, I'm so happy I've learned this now instead of in another 5 years, do you know, and I've wasted another 5 years spending so much time, putting so much energy into somebody who has ulterior motives. could we say? And just to kind of flip it, like, you know, obviously saying like difficult times reveals the truth and like shows people's like motives and all this shit, but also the opposite, like difficult times, like for me 2020, difficult times really showed me who's fucking out for themselves, but also brought in somebody who, you know, brought back someone in my life who I would have never even dreamed of, who really showed themselves to me that, you know, I've got your back, like, you know, I'm going to be here, and actually showed me it with actions and not words. So I feel like flip sides, difficult times, like they take people out, but they also bring people in. And 2020, at the end of 2020, brought someone into my life that I could never have even dreamed of, that I wouldn't have even, like, what, like, you know, do you know the way life just does things and you're like, what? How? You're like, I couldn't have even wrote this. You couldn't make it up. The fourth thing I learned is a really quick one. Not going to talk about it for too long, but it's just slow down. This year I feel like, again, for a lot of us, really taught us like the true meaning of slowing down and how important it is. And I feel like prior to this, even me, like, I thought I knew what slowing down was, but I had no clue until it was forced upon us by everything being shut, by everything being taken away from us. And it really showed us the true meaning of it, and it showed me that nothing is ever as urgent as it seems to us. And we make things out to be so urgent in our heads, but when you, again, peel back all the layers, you know, it's really not urgent at all, because the things that are actually urgent are okay. You know, and I feel like it's just, again, constantly this year, perspective. What actually matters? Okay, then things matter. Well, then things are okay. These things that I'm thinking are urgent are a little bit of fucking dust in the air. Absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things. I'm going to ask one thing of you, and one thing only, okay? And that is that you leave a comment down below telling me to not ever drink wine again when I'm filming, because it takes me about 10 fucking years to get to the point. I don't know what it is. Tell me, is anyone else like this? Wine, for whatever reason, gets my thoughts like going. They get them like flowing. Like, yeah, oh yeah, that works. That makes sense, yeah. But really, when and if I ever listen back to it, it sounds like absolute gibberish. So we're going to try and fly through these next few lessons, because I am just on one today, clearly. Making up for the last like 3 weeks. The next lesson I learned in 2020 is actions over words. Now hear me out, wait, don't you go, hold up, don't click off, right? It's so much deeper than just that, right? That is something I've said, I've said that since I started my channel, but I feel like 2020 has actually really opened my eyes to why I've clung on to that so hard. Like, 2020 has taught me why that is so important. Words not matching actions is manipulation. And refusing to be held accountable for it is called gaslighting. I feel like I learned in 2020 the true meaning and definition of what a gaslighter is, and I'm just going to read you this little thing that I got off the internet. Gaslighters engage in the manipulation technique of distorting known facts, memories, events, and evidence to invalidate a person's experience. The idea is to make those who disagree with the gaslighter question their ability, memory, or sanity. And let me tell you, when you have been and are being gaslit constantly, it will drive you to insanity, actual insanity, to the point where you feel like you have lost your mind. And it is actually absolutely nothing to do with you, but it actually is a reflection of what is happening to you. And our bodies tell us everything. Our bodies tell us everything. Don't fucking ignore feelings. Feelings are there for a reason. Feelings are there for our body to communicate to us if something is right or wrong. And ignoring them is going to end in absolute catastrophe. But in all seriousness, 2020 really taught me to see someone for what they do, not what they say. You know, we can talk till the cows go home. We all can talk till the cows come home, especially manipulators. Manipulators are the best talkers. Manipulators know what to tell you. They know what you want to hear. They know how to make themselves seem like the best thing since sliced bread. But don't go off what someone says, go off what they do, because that's where their intentions lie. Like, I thought I knew this. I feel like 2020 was also the year of like kind of learning, like reinforcing things that, you know, I have, a lot of us have learned previously, but like reinforcing them, like things that we had learned but not really reinforced in our lives or kind of practiced or, you know, paid much attention to. Like, you know, actions over words is always something that I had kind of like prided myself on and been like, yeah, like I only have people in my life who show me who they are, not what they say they are. But really that's what I was wanting to do, but I wasn't actually doing it. Like, I was falling for the words, I was falling for the this and the that and not really the absolute chaos that was actually sitting right in front of my eyes. I know that gaslighting and being gaslit is quite a new term, and it's something that we've only heard in the last couple of years, and I kind of thought I understood the term and all that, but I realised that I actually didn't until I had experienced being gaslit for so long, and then seeing something that really broke it down and being like, oh my fucking god, like what? Like, if I was aware of this, it would have saved me so much pain and stuff. Just in case there's anyone out there who wasn't aware of it and things you might hear if you are being gaslit from a gaslighter, I'm going to read off some that I found online, which I feel like are really good. So these are kind of examples of things that would be said to you very regularly, and now these are things that could be said to you just in general, which is not coming from a gaslighter, or you're not being gaslit, but this is going to be a pattern, you know what I mean? So you're so sensitive, you know that's just because you're so insecure, stop acting crazy, or you're crazy, you just love throwing me off track, I was just joking. Don't, that triggered me so much. Can you not take a joke? Can you not take a joke? Honey, when you were blatantly insulting me, that is not a joke. You're making that up. It's no big deal. Why are you making such a big deal out of this? You're imagining things. You're overreacting. It's another one. You're overreacting. You always overreact. Why are you overreacting like always? You're being so dramatic. Another great one. Don't get so worked up over nothing. That never happened. That never happened. That never happened. Don't even get me started. You know you don't remember things clearly. You're hysterical. There you go again. There you go again. And yeah, there's many more examples, but that was just a list I found online that I found was quite good. Another little list here is you ask yourself, am I too sensitive many times a day? You often feel confused and even crazy in the relationship. You're always apologizing. You can't understand why you aren't happier. You know something is wrong, but you just don't know what. You can't put your finger on it, and you wonder if you're good enough. Again, just another few kind of examples that I found online. But yeah, actions over words. The next thing I learned is sometimes knowing what you don't need is more important than knowing what you need. Again, not going to touch on this too much. Going into 2020, I thought I knew what I needed, and I realised the whole of 2020 was showing me what I don't need, and I feel like there's so much power in that. Like, I feel like I'm in a way better place now, knowing in so many different areas what I don't need. And they were things that I thought I needed to grow, to thrive, to heal, to succeed. When really them things are holding me back completely in every aspect. I have absolutely no idea what number we are on apart from number 1. But the next thing I learned is that respect is absolutely everything, and this goes for every relationship in your life. If you don't respect them or they don't respect you, end the relationship, because without respect you've got absolutely nothing. And I feel like I learned this there was a relationship in my life where I was disrespected very early on in the relationship, and I carried things on, and I was continuously disrespected. Like, what else do you expect, you know? Like, how things begin is how they will carry on most of the time. If you are disrespected and you accept it, you are disrespecting yourself. And I disrespected myself a lot in 2020. And yeah, it's a learn, and it's something, you know, it's nothing to be kind of annoyed about or angry about, which I was at one point, but now I'm kind of like, I'm happy I did, because I feel like I've learned the true meaning of respect. and what that actually looks like. I don't know what's in wine, but whatever is in wine, it all trickles to the bottom, and then you get it all in the last sip. Be unwilling to tolerate things you find unacceptable. In any relationship in our lives, we have to have a very, very clear list of things that we will and will not tolerate. I can't tell you how many times I tolerated things that were in my no tolerate list just because I was comfortable or scared, terrified of the unknown. But you need to know and have it so clear in your head what you will and won't tolerate in a relationship, and actually have the fucking guts to enforce it. At the end of the day, people are free to do whatever they want, and you don't need to judge others for their choices, but you should be willing to set your standards high enough that you will walk away if something occurs that is in your no tolerate list. And I feel like that is also another way of respecting yourself and having respect for yourself, because once you put up with something on your no tolerate list, you're immediately straight away disrespecting yourself. Now there's so many more things I've learned in 2020, but I've been filming for hours and I'm so sorry you have to sit through this. If you are still here, I apologize. So I'm going to try and wrap it up quickly with 2 more points, and they are things I learned is don't ever apologize for who you are. I spent too much time in 2020 being put down by somebody and apologising for who I was and trying to change who I was, when really I wasn't the problem, they were. Them being in my life was the problem. So don't ever apologise for who you are, and also you never know what's around the corner. Only a couple of months ago, I can't even tell you the headspace I was in. Everything was up in the air, everything felt so uncertain. So much was changing at once, and I was just terrified, man. Like, you know, I didn't know what was coming. As cliche as it sounds, everything does have a way of working out, and even though you might not know the reason now, everything does happen for a reason. And I know that's such a cliche thing to hear, but really, I really do believe it. Since even moving home from Dublin, a few things that have happened in my life, it's just too crazy to even be coincidence. Do you know what I mean? Everything in our life is either a lesson or a blessing. It's there to teach us something, or it's just a fucking blessing. And it's there to show us, you know, how blessed we are and how lucky we are, and the true meaning of life and the true meaning of love and happiness and peace and all these things. But it's one or the other. So it's never a bad thing, because we're either so fucking lucky or we're learning something from it. And if we're learning something from it, then it's also a blessing, because it's going to help us in the future, and it's going to save us pain and heartache in the future, and it's going to help us make better decisions and better choices in the future. So yeah, I feel like I'm just trying now from 2020 to just always put things into perspective and kind of look for the positive in every situation, because there is a positive in every single situation, even though it might not seem at the time. And, you know, I completely get it. Like, you know, I get it. I can't tell you even how many times in 2020 I was like, there's no positives. Like, this is it. You know, just wanting to give up. But if you hold on, just hold on in there, even if it's just a breath, it's just sleep, just eating something small just to get you through that day. Just hold on in there. Hold on for dear life. Just fucking promise me that one thing. Because if you do that for me, I can promise you that one day you'll wake up and you'll be so glad you held on. You'll be so glad, because something will happen, or someone will come into your life, or whatever it might be, and you'll just be like, it wasn't all for nothing. You know what I mean? Like, this got me to this point. Hadn't I gone through all that fucking shit, I wouldn't be here. And I'm so grateful and happy to be here. You know? If you made it this far, please let me know down below, because you deserve a medal, a gold medal. Not a silver one, a gold one. But yeah, I love you guys so very much, and thank you for supporting me in 2020. I know it was one mad year, but something that I am so fucking grateful for, and I count my blessings and my lucky stars for every day is you guys, and each and every one of you guys. I'm so lucky. But yeah, I will see you guys super soon. It will not be in 3 or 4 weeks. It will be sooner than that.